Family, this is Brother Jamala, also known as Brother Soldier. Today we're going to kind of get into the fourth topic, which has to do with strength of character. And in the context of being a Black African. And in that context, we're challenged and we're faced with many opposing forces as oppression, economic exploitation, degradation socially, and trying to become people that are equal, but we're being oppressed politically because of our race. And if it's not that, our culture, but whatever it is, history tells us that our situation is extraordinary. It's special, and it requires special solutions, unlike the European and his issues, because in our context, we're trying to strive not only to be men and counted as women and counted as African, but we're also trying to be thriving human beings. And when society or the world has redefined you, redefined us as less than human or 2/3 human, a little higher than an animal, or even treated and beat like animals, told that we're ugly, told that we're the undesirables. In history, we seem to spend all of our life and time trying to climb out of that to show everybody that we are just as good as the next person. That's why you have this Black Lives Matter movement. They're saying that just Black Lives Matter. They're saying Black Lives Matter also. But the enemy wants to take that and also say that you're saying only Black Lives Matter. What we have to realize is that we have enemies. And it's not going to matter how many times you try to prove anything. You're still basically just a Negro man or Negro woman. Now, you'll say you don't accept that. But the reality is you're still fighting those forces no matter how much you rise in the status economically, no matter how many positions that you have, the system still thrives on the inferiority of the Black African and the superiority of the European. So I have come to the point where I'm not interested in proving anything about me being equal. I just want the young ones and the little ones that's coming up to be able to have a better shake and a better chance to fight, and to give them the tools necessary and the weaponry, the mental weaponry necessary to combat these evils. So if we look at the world in the way that it is, the things that are going on around the world, the sin, the confusion, this is nothing but the enemy. And when we try to live separate from God, or we try to take God out of the equation, take morality out, it is doomed to fail, and it creates chaos and confusion. So, in the context of this and many other things that I have not addressed, we have to define ourselves as men and women. And one of those ingredients that's needed for that is strength of character. Because it's not just enough just to know the laws of the land. It's not just enough to know the scriptures in the scriptures of the Bible that tell us how to walk straight when the path is crooked. It's not just enough to know these things. These things have to be inside of our spirit so that we can live these things in our daily life. Every day we wake up, we have to decide, today I'm going to live for God. Not just the time that you go to the church altar and make that confession. Every day is a stand for God. And every day is going to be a stand for you to be a man or a woman, a young African child, a young girl, black child, or black boy. So we equip us with the values of our culture, the pride of our heritage. We equip them with the things that we have contributed before the colonization came and before the transatlantic slave had approached our shores. We're talking about our accomplishments prior to that, and then even during the context of the struggle of colonization and slavery, we were gallant fighters to overcome. We have been called basically overcomers because of the situation and the disadvantage that we're born into. So, things that are considered strength of character are things like integrity, courage, empathy, service to others, sacrifice, self-discipline, being able to hold our cool when we would otherwise go upside somebody's head. That's a quality of character. Integrity. How honest are we before our fellow man and our people that look like us? Do we sell them out or do we stand with them? And if we're too afraid, do we have the ability to keep our mouth shut and just don't compound the situation for the brother or sister that's taking a stand? Can we even be strong enough to be with them in secret when we don't want to take what they're taking? Or do we get in there and help the wolf beat down our brother? Strength of character is able to stand against these things. Now, I have some notes here that I would love to stick with, but I'm going to refer to them, but I'm going to try to flow, because if I can allow my spirit to just flow, then we could probably get through some of these things, because it'll be, what is said will be very necessary. But I use these notes to keep me on track so that I don't get to preaching to you brothers too much out there. So strength of character is something that we all want. If we were to interview somebody for a job, we want somebody that has strength of character, that can do the right thing, that has courage to do the right thing. If we want a hidden bureaucracy, something that is wicked, we don't really want to recruit people who have strong character. But it is well with the soul of the African and the black African that to be of character is a very valuable gem, a very precious stone in the eyes of your own people, especially the people who need you. To be a person of character, to be able to speak truth when it is easier to lie, to be able to stand strong when it's easier to tuck your tail like a dog and run. Strength of character is like the flag on the flagpole. You can't see the flag when it's sitting there on the flagpole for what it really is until the winds and the trials and the storms begin to blow. And then you can see the flag for what it is. Because it's certain things in life, perils and storms, that cause that flag to fly and to show its true colors of what it's really made out of, or what it looks like in the hardest times. The hard times make the strong soldiers. That's why they go to boot camp when they train military men. They take them and they tear you down in order to build you up as a soldier. True, there's some brainwashing, some things that go on that we don't like, but the overall thing is to get you to be able to survive when you go to battle. So we have to put you through some hard tests. When you have a child, we were talking about children and how to raise them and giving them the truth about their heritage, and do not speak negative about the continent of Africa, because that is who they're going to associate themselves with. No matter how many times you try to say you're not African, it's still going to be put on you. And you're going to have to be able to ride or die. You're going to have to roll with that. You could talk about how, if you're in North America, you could talk about how much American you are, but you still belong to the race of the African, whether you like it or not. God created you. You were born. You had no choice. This is the script that is set before you. This is the role that you will play. And now we want to see what you're made out of when you're housed in this kind of flesh that I'm in. You see what I look like? How do I carry myself in this flesh? Do I go out and smoke my brothers and kill them just because they make me upset about something? Or do I try to keep peace with my brothers and encourage them? If I love myself, as we talked about in these other previous topics 1, 2, 3, and 4, we talk about self-love, self-hate. Do I act like a person that has self-love? Am I strong enough to love? In the times that we are, in the context that we are struggling as oppressed people politically, economically exploited, can I still be a man of character and of substance? I want to go to one story in the Old Testament, and it was about Moses. It comes out of the first chapter of Exodus, and maybe a little bit in the second, where it says that Moses grew up in the house of Egypt, and he took a longing toward his people, even though he had the royal dynasty of the Egyptian empire. He still had his heart with his people, even to the point to where he ended up slaying or killing a man for mistreating one of them. And he even tried to break up a quarrel between two Hebrews or two Israelis that were fighting amongst themselves. And they said, "Who made you a prince over us?" They kind of turned on him and said, "Are you going to kill us like you did the Egyptian?" So he realized that it was known, and he fled. He took off. But here was a man that had his heart toward his people, even though he physically was in the big house. Now, what kind of character did that say? And even God looked down and ended up using this man, because he said, "That's the kind of man. I like him." And so what kind of character did he have? And you compare that to the character of these brothers today who say they're Christians, they go to church, they wear a suit and tie, they go into corporate America, but they are just as big of a puppet as though they live in the house of Egypt, and they turn on their brothers. They think they're better than their brothers. What does that character show you? That means all those brothers will despise him. Let alone they have to even know if they can trust you when you're in the house like that. So strength of character comes with a love of self and a love of your people that can never be bought, no matter what position you get. You do not become an ally of those foreign and alien cultures who try to run you and your people in the ground. You are with your people and your God. And I speak to people who know God, people who don't know God, because if you don't know God, it's going to be pretty hard for you to stand, but it can be done. So this part about character, I basically glazed over. I'm going to mention one man that I felt like in my life, in my boyhood, childhood, and growing up, I felt had some strong character, and that was the boxer named Muhammad Ali. I felt he has a very dynamic character. And he was able to speak his political views and his religious views in spite of being stripped of his boxing title. And he even was basically sentenced to 5 years. How he served it, I'm not totally 100% on that, but he went through hell. He lost his money, but he still stayed with his God. He still stayed with his people. So I have to close here because my time is running out, but I wanted to start this as part one. This will be called part one of Strength of Character, and I basically just narrated. I used some scriptural references, and I talk about how important it is, and we'll pick up part two. So I hope that if you like this, please hit the thumbs up, and you can put comments. But I'm going to keep rolling on because this is a Panafricentric ministry, and it's going to help teach to your spirit as well as your natural man. Peace, love, and hotep.